Hey guys, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. This is going to be a long video. I'm just going to warn you, but I had to jump in and talk about the drama that's going on in the colored pencil community on YouTube. You may be aware of this, you may not be aware of this, but there has been a lot of reports of very shoddy colored pencils coming out lately. And there's one brand in particular that we're going to talk about, but I have also seen this across various brands over the past year. Over the past year, obviously, we've been in a pandemic, and the first country to get hit was China. A lot of the budget art products that we get in the United States, and probably all over the world, come from China and other developing countries. And a lot of stores that stock these products, a lot of these companies that have their products private labeled over in China, have had a hard time getting supplies in, which is very frustrating for them because this year where so many people are at home, they want a hobby, they want something that's going to help them de-stress, and they've been turning to art, which is wonderful, but the supplies have been hard to get. So the drama that's been coming up lately has been around Arteza and their pencils. And about a year ago, I did a video showing the difference between my old set of 72 Arteza pencils, regular expert colored pencils. Now they say expert, I would not put them in the professional range, and we'll get to what makes a product a professional product and what makes it a budget or student grade product in a few minutes. But I did a video about a year, well, it was last March, so it was almost a year ago, and it was about the differences between the old Arteza colored pencils and the new Arteza colored pencils. And the old Arteza pencils were water soluble. Not completely water soluble like a watercolor pencil, but if you laid them down and you went over them with a firm wet brush, they moved quite a bit. And it hadn't occurred to me until somebody mentioned it to me, because I never tried to use them wet. I always use them as a last layer on top of a watercolor, or I use them as in a straight color pencil piece. And if I thinned them down, I used a little bit of Gamsol, or I used an alcohol-based clear blending marker. So it never was an issue for me. But when I found that out, I'm like, well, I gotta test that for myself. So I went and got my 120 set of Arteza colored pencils. It came out in 2019, and the set from 2017, and sure shooting, that 2017 set ran like the dickens with water, and the other one, like, the water beat it up. And I actually retried my test again this morning, so I just want to make sure I wasn't losing my mind. So this was, and I used a soft brush for this, so you would have more movement if you had a stiffer brush, but I wanted to use the same brush for all examples. So this was the original set of 72 expert colored pencils from Arteza from 2017. This was the one, and that's a round barrel. This was the one from 2019 from the 120 set, and this was also a round barrel. The barrel was slightly thicker, and I wouldn't have noticed that, except I was using them side by side and had to sharpen some of the old ones and the new ones, and I couldn't put the newer ones in my pencil sharpener. That's a 2019 one. There is a newer set, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. And this was the Arteza watercolor pencil, which, as you'd expect from a watercolor pencil, completely dissolved with that soft brush. Now, if you look closely, you can see some of the lines there. If I'd used a stiffer brush, those would have dissolved too, but I wanted to keep it fair. I wanted to use the same brush for all three. Like I said, if I used a stiff brush up here, I could move that pigment more, I'm sure. I just want to put that up there to make sure you can see the ghosting of running over that with water. So you're probably thinking, what's the big deal? You use colored pencils, you're probably not going to use water with them, so it's probably not going to affect you. And that's true. If you're not going to be spraying, I honestly think with that old set of 72, you could spray a fixative on it, and I don't think that that would bother it, because most pencils will have a little bit of ghosting if you go over them with water, especially if they're more of an oil-based than a wax-based pencil. And all pencils are a mix. I mean, there's no true oil-based or wax-based. They're all a blend, and some have more oil, some have more wax, and that it gives it, like, if it's more oil-based, it's going to have a more translucent quality. If it's more wax-based, it's going to have a more opaque quality. I myself usually prefer wax-based pencils. Like the new Derwent Lightfast pencils are touted as oil-based pencils, but I really like them because they actually behave a little bit more like wax-based pencils. It's a personal preference, not good, not bad, just whatever you like is fine. You know, there's no difference. But then I was watching some videos, and some people were talking about the newer Arteza pencils, and they were just saying they are awful. They're too bad to review. One person said that I'm not even reviewing them. They're too bad to review. And I saw somebody in the comments of a video say that they bought the watercolor pencils and they scribbled it out. They couldn't even get any pigment. There was like no pigment payout. And I'm thinking, these are my Arteza watercolor pencils. I love the payout. I think the payout's almost as good as the Albright Drewer Faber-Castell pencils. Now, I wouldn't claim these to be as good. I don't really trust the light fastness ratings on budget brands, but as far as like playing around and getting some color, man, you can't deny that there is color there. I swatched these out in 2017, and they're still super vibrant. They've been slid in the pocket of my little coloring bag over there, but I mean, they're gorgeous, they're vibrant. Now, the color numbers on these match the color numbers of the set of 72 and the set of 120 pencils that I have, so it's the same color numbering system. So I was really interested to see a video the other day by another YouTuber who had done some gorgeous coloring book pages, and all was well and good until he sprayed it with fixative, and then the colors started to run on him. And he had a brand new fresh box of 120 Arteza pencils, and I'm like, well, what's going on? Because I've got the new set and they don't run at all. The water beads up on them like you've rubbed them with wax or something. The water just like beads right up. So I'm like, what's going on? And so I've been digging around. I've been asking people what their experiences are, if they have the new pencils, how new they are, if they were purchased within the last year or if they're 2019 or earlier. And most of the people that have been unhappy with their pencils purchased them this year, but it's not consistent results. And watching these other videos where they've recently purchased pencils and they've had dealings with a customer service team, they have said that they're not sure what kind of pencils they would get if they replaced them. So what I think has happened here, and why you have to be careful with budget pencils, and why, if you're considering buying a budget pencil, you probably want to look at the most recent reviews you can find, both on YouTube, on blogs, and on Amazon. Because if a product's been around for 4 years and it's had generally favorable reviews, that's what you're going to see when you go to like Amazon or wherever you're buying it. If something's new and it's bad, you're going to see those reviews. But it could take a while for new product to integrate and then those bad reviews to show up if there's a problem with the product. Well, anyway, I was on the Arteza website today, and I noticed that their new set of 120 pencils have completely different color numbers. So that leads me to believe that probably with the pandemic and with supply shortages, they've had to shop around to different factories. And I suspect they're using a different factory for these new pencils that I don't have. And though I think those are the ones that are giving people problems. And now to my knowledge, Arteza has offered a refund to anybody that's got these pencils and are not happy with them. They've had a pretty amazing customer service reputation. When they started off, now let me get just full disclosure here. My first dealings with Arteza were back when they first opened. I used to use this website called FameBit, and I would go in there. It was a place for like YouTubers to find brands that want to work with them, and I would check in every few days to see if there were any art suppliers. And Arteza showed up there one day, and I put a offer in on one of the products that they were trying to get advertised, and I kind of gave them a proposal for what I would do for their product. I don't do paid reviews myself. I know some YouTubers do paid reviews, but I don't, just to kind of get that right out on the table. Like, I'm not going to accept a paid review. Sometimes brands do email and say, can I pay you to do a review on this product? I don't do it. I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with it necessarily, just because you do, like, I put weeks into a review. I do several pieces of artwork, and I make sure that I know the ins and outs of a product, and if there's going to be any problems that they crop up before I do a review and recommend, or I don't want to say disparage a product, or don't recommend a product. So I like to make sure I know the ins and outs. I like to have them for a while and use them, make sure they're not going to dry out or skip, or there's not going to be like a problem down the road. So that's just me, and I'm not going to judge anybody else for them doing what they want to do. If somebody wanted to contact me before they released a product and pay me to do some, practicing with their products and give them the works and see how they turn out and how good they are, I would definitely take money for that, because that's a lot of work, and I obviously wouldn't be reviewing that because it wouldn't be something that's out. Anyway, so if you have a color pencil company and you're looking for someone to do a little research and development, please give me a call. But anyway, that was my first experience with them. So on that marketplace, basically what would happen was companies would put up their products. Would anybody like to do a video for us? And then, different YouTubers could apply and they would choose one. So I was hired to work with their watercolor pencils, and I can't remember if I did paints or not, but definitely they're woodless watercolor pencils. And so they sent the product. I checked it out first to make sure it was something I'd be comfortable using and recommending, and they were great. So everything went proceeded, and I did a video on that. It was a dragonfly watercolor pencil painting, where we also used the watercolor pencil to stamp and kind of do some crafty techniques too. And it was a lot of fun, and I had a great experience working with them. And so then a few months later, they asked if I want to review some products. I was like, well, they seem like an up and up company. I'm like, sure, yeah, send some stuff if you want. Now, Arteza has kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, a lot of artists the wrong way, because they send so much free product out to YouTubers to review, and they feel that that's a little bit unfair, that they're getting all of this kind of airtime on YouTube with these tactics. I mean, it's marketing. It's a marketing tactic. Craft companies do it, and budget art supply companies do it a lot. The more reputable, old school art supply companies don't tend to do this, don't use this tactic very much. That they prefer to get more of the organic reach from artists that use the products anyway, but their products have been in the marketplace for decades, if not centuries, so they're out there. This, a lot of the budget brands and the craft brands reach out to artists and give them products because they are so new, nobody knows about them yet, and it's just the quickest and easiest way for them to get in front of eyeballs. And I think it's nice when there's a bunch of reviews for a product, providing their honest reviews, because then you can get a few opinions before you decide whether it's something you want to buy or not. So right now we have tons of budget supplies on the market, and up until about a year ago, the quality for price has been really good. Like, you get a lot more than what you're paying for, it seems like, with a lot of these products. But what I've been noticing lately over the last year is some big inconsistencies between brands, and I'm not singling out Arteza because I've noticed it in other brands too. I had purchased a set of 48 watercolors from the Doodle Hog company, basically because they were 15 bucks and I needed a new tin and half pans, and I couldn't buy a tin with 48 half pans for $15. It would be a couple bucks more. So I'm like, oh, what the heck, I'll buy this. I'll review it. If it's any good, great. If it's not, well, you know, I've got the tin. I bought it for the tin anyway, so what's the big deal? So I got them. They were surprisingly good. I did a review on them, and then that company contacted me and asked me if they could sponsor a video. And I mean, that's how a lot of us YouTubers make part of our living, is we work with companies for sponsorships. And they happen to send some, I didn't expect them to send a set of watercolors since I purchased a set already. I had them, but they sent me the set of 36 watercolors. And oh, that's interesting. Then I started painting with them. I'm like, these are not even the same paint. So I contacted the company. I said, did you guys switch manufacturers? Because these are not the same paints that are in the 48 set. And she's like, well, let me check on, I'll check on that. I'm, you know, in the PR department, but I'll see what I can find out. And so she called her contacts, or they're an American company, but obviously they, like every other craft company or budget art supply company, they, you know, have their stuff made in China with their logos on them. And to her knowledge, there was no quality difference between any of the size sets. But the 36 set was, I'm going to tell you this. Okay, I was going to say don't tell anyone, but I'm putting this on YouTube. The 36 set was like the same quality as like the, I can't say this, like, because I'm not a chemist, I don't work for either of these companies, but they seemed just like the Altenew set of 24 that I have. And very similar to the Artsy set of 24, which are both more expensive paints. The Altenew ones are quite a bit more expensive. And they behave just like that. I'm like, these are not the same paints. These are so much better. And I think it was like the set of 36 was like, you know, might have been less than the set of 48. Or maybe it was around the same price. And then that was probably why I bought the set of 48. I'm like, well, the set of 46 was about the same price. But it was like completely different paint. It was better paint. So in that respect, that was like, yay, better paint, you know. But a lot of times things change quality and it's not for the best. That just happened to be like, awesome, this is better. The other one I thought was great for the money, but this one's better. By the way, the Doodle Hog 48 set is just like the Master's Touch set of 48, and I think there's a bunch of other ones that also use that same factory. So Arteza, just like any of these other budget brands, are having their products made from different factories. And I've found in the past that Arteza does a pretty good job at picking factories to work with. Like their pastels that I haven't reviewed yet, but I plan on, they're made in Korea. I'm like 99.9% sure they're made by the Mungyo factory. Mungyo makes wonderful products. They make a lot of the Sargent art products, and you get what you pay for. You know, I mean, and that's a good thing. You know, you're not wasting your money. When I say that, I guess I mean you're not wasting your money. So they've usually been pretty wise with who they've chosen to partner with. So it sounds like they made a bad choice, and the brand new pencils that have come out are junk. I haven't used them, I can't say for certain, but that's what it seems like, just going by different reviews that I'm seeing and different people's comments that they're leaving under these reviews. Now, a lot of people, like I mentioned, have an axe to grind with Arteza, and a lot of people love to complain, and they love salty reviews. I don't really know if there's a ton to complain about since Arteza has been refunding people's money. Before they would just send out a new set, no questions asked, and now they're refunding money, I think, because they're not sure where the problematic pencils are. A lot of their stuff is bought on Amazon, and they're shipped and fulfilled by Amazon. And if you're a company and you want to have Amazon ship and fulfill your orders, then you need to send, I think it's like a minimum of 500 items to the warehouse so it can be there ready to go. I don't know if it's 500 per warehouse, but anyway, so if they're constantly shipping things to Amazon, to the different warehouses, they have no idea, if you order from Amazon, what warehouse your product's going to be shipped from and what batch you're going to get. So I'm pretty sure that's why they're giving refunds and why they're probably scrambling over this situation. So I just wanted to give that bit of perspective, because I don't think it's anything nefarious that Arteza is doing. I don't think they're like, now we can give them crappy pencils and, you know, and make all the money. I don't think it's a situation like that. I think it's a situation of, oh my gosh, these are really popular now and our factory can't keep up with the pandemic. We've got to find another supplier, and whoops, we picked wrong. And I think when you call or you email and you talk to customer service, they don't know that side of the business. It's a big company. From what I gather, it's a pretty big company. You get people in the United States, and I think you get people in the UK and maybe in other countries too. So chances are they don't know, the people you're talking to in customer service doesn't know what's going on in the ordering and manufacturing section. So up until this year, we've had a really good influx, or up until pre-pandemic, we've had a really good influx of high quality budget products. And what I think spearheaded that was that a lot of American, I don't want to say American companies, but a lot of the tried and true, centuries old companies from Europe and from America. I mean, probably not centuries old because we're not that old of a country, but I'm talking like Faber-Castell, Derwent, Winsor & Newton. These companies that have always produced in Europe have started to outsource their student grade lines, and I think having that intelligence, these different factories working with these brands, they've learned what the American and European consumer wants, and they've upped their game once they've seen what is required of those products. About 4 or 5 years ago, Winsor & Newton had their Cotman line of watercolors start to be produced in China. And I believe they're produced by the Phoenix company out of China, who also white labels products for a lot of other companies. They do a good job. I cannot fault them for their quality of those, but their tube paints, the Phoenix tube paints, are not great. I don't know who's making the Cotman tube paints, but anyway, I think the Phoenix half pans are the same. And anyway, I think by having these bespoke products made for them in Chinese factories, they have learned how to make better quality materials, and that's why we've gotten so many good budget brands lately. Faber-Castell, their red line products, their red package products, I believe, are made in China. I know their gel sticks are, so probably their gelatos are too. Even Ranger, which is a New Jersey-based United States company, has their scribble sticks and the distress crayons made in China. Derwent has their student grade Academy pencils made in India. So it's not a situation of you're buying from a European company, you're getting a European product. For their artist grade lines, you will be, which is where we'll get into our next part of our video. What is the difference between an artist grade product and a budget product or a student grade product, and why I don't necessarily consider a company calling their product expert or artist grade true unless they meet these other criterias. And these are their criterias that I consider a product being a professional grade product. And that doesn't even mean that it's going to be necessarily light fast, but I would say it's more of a professional grade product. Like some products just aren't light fast. Copic markers, they're not light fast. They're heck of expensive, but they are not light fast. So they're still considered a professional grade product, but they're not light fast. Light fast basically means how resistant is a product to fading over time. So in order for a product to be, and let's just say color pencils, because there's a really clear delineation there between artist grade and craft or student grade or even children's grade. One of the first criteria would be, can you purchase this product open stock? Meaning, yes, you can buy a set of these pencils, but when you run out of lavender, can you buy a single lavender pencil? Does that And the next criteria would be, does the company do light-fast testing? Independent light-fast testing that conforms to either ASTM or the Blue Wool scale. So that means they have done testing and it is fallen within a standard, and they can prove results. They can, because a lot of companies will say their products are highly light fast, but they don't have anything to back it up. Like even Faber-Castell said their gelatos, which are the artist grade gel sticks, their gelatos were light fast. But Kimberly Crick did a test on her blog and showed that they were not light fast, and they're kind of expensive too. But you know, just don't claim your product's light fast if it's not light fast. If the colors in the range are not light fast, don't claim they're light fast. Don't claim they're different from what you're selling for a fourth of the price to children. You know, don't claim that they're different if they're not. You know, it just annoys me because, you know, a lot of people really buy into that and they think that their artwork isn't worthwhile if they don't have the most expensive products. So yes, so is there light fast ratings done that they can prove that conform to the standard light fast of ASTM or Blue Wool scale? The other thing, if it's a paint, now you don't really see pigment numbers on pencils, although Derwent Light Fast does have the pigment numbers in their literature, which I think is awesome. But definitely for paints, do they have pigment information available? That would definitely be a criteria. Now Arteza actually does put pigment information on their watercolors and actually I think all their paints, they put pigment information. Now I found their oils to be weak. Okay for a beginner, but I just found them kind of weak, and I think you would end up using more paint, that it kind of wipes out the value. I thought their acrylics were fine. I wasn't that impressed with their watercolors. Not bad for a beginner set, but you know, but they don't claim those paints to be expert. I think they're all in the premium line, which is their student grade. Their classic is like children's. Their premium is student grade, and their expert is so-called artist grade. But I would definitely keep them in the budget line. However, the thing that's I think really rising ire, and that I'm kind of annoyed with too, is that they're calling somebody like their colored pencils expert, and they're bumping the price up as if they're more of a upper student grade, lower artist grade product, and they're not. They should definitely be in the budget range. I wouldn't put them up there with Prismacolor. Now, recently I saw a very good video. I'm trying to remember the channel name. Sarah Renee is the artist. She's Australian based and does a color pencil channel. She used Arteza pencils, and she was like, they're great. They're right next to Prismacolor, like next down from Prismacolor on her favorites list. So, I mean, she must have got a good box, but it seems like it's very inconsistent right now. So I also wanted to put this video out as a warning. Like the Pagos pencils that I reviewed recently, I had great luck with them, got great color payout, and then I think it was Lori over at Color My World said that she's like, I'm not reviewing these, not worth a review. So she must have got a completely different batch or from a different factory or something for us to have completely different opinions. I mean, it's okay to have different opinions. I mean, I'm gonna like something that's a high quality product just because it doesn't go with my style of working. That's fine, but I could objectively say like Koh-i-Noor pencils. They are like the polycolors. They're kind of dry and hard for the type of work that I like, the type of pencil I like. I can objectively say they're a nice pencil, but I can also say they're not my cup of tea, you know, but I wouldn't say they're trash. It's like, no, just not my cup of tea. They're a good pencil. If you prefer a hard pencil, go for it. Just like the Tombow Rogitins. They're a nice pencil, not my cup of tea. You know, I can objectively say that. But, you know, sometimes you get a pencil, if there's no color payout, you can say, yeah, that's not a good pencil. There's no color payout. I'm getting wax. It's scratchy. I don't want to hear my colored pencils when I'm working with it. So it's definitely a buyer beware situation, and I feel bad and I feel responsible if somebody watches one of my reviews and buys a product because I've recommended it and gets something completely different. And I feel like that might be happening now with the interruptions in factories due to the pandemic, the shipping supply problems with, you know, because stuff isn't getting sold. The boats aren't going back and forth. A lot of times shipping is reliant on, you know, passenger travel. If passengers aren't traveling, aren't flying, then there's no cargo hold for all these products to come back and forth. So pickings are slim, prices are going up, and you're not necessarily getting what you pay for. So I wanted to do this video as kind of a fair and balanced perspective about what's going on. A word to the wise, a warning, if you will. But also, I don't think that the pitchforks and torches are warranted. I don't think Arteza, they're in the hot seat right now, and they are really getting slammed by people. People love a salty review. They love to, you know, to jump on when, you know, I feel like people love to jump on when a company is getting kicked, and I don't think they deserve that, because as far as I know, they've been offering refunds to everyone, and people that were previously happy with their pencils, like they made the old set of 72 when they found out that they were a little water reactive. Okay, they could be more water reactive depending on how much pressure you put in there. That was my response, and I do have a video on that, and I used a firmer brush on the other video, so you do see more movement. But you know, they were previously perfectly happy with the pencils, but then they see that other people aren't happy with it, so now they're demanding refunds. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that might be taking advantage of a situation a little bit. But that's just me. I don't think that they're purposely trying to mislead anybody, or I think it's just a situation of, you know, they're a budget brand, and they're, of course, the prices have raised, so it makes it really hard to defend them on that note. But then again, a lot of other companies' prices have raised, and I've seen this a lot where like somebody reviews a product, it gets really popular. Well, like Lori over at Color My World, she reviewed these pencils, they looked fantastic, and they sold out, and then the next day the listing was back up and it wasn't the same product. And Lori hopped on, she's like, I do not recommend this product. This is not the same thing that I recommended last week. So I like her, I like her integrity. It's so funny though, when another reviewer has a completely different like assessment of a product, you have to wonder, is it the same product? And I think these days it might not be. So I think the days of the cheap, good quality budget products might be over. It might be better to, you know, definitely consider looking at some of the more reputable brands. And because really, another thing that is what you're paying for when you're buying an artist grade pencil is that pencil is going to be that pencil regardless when you buy it. So if you buy a set of pencils in like the year 2000, and you use one up and it's 2015, you go to buy that pencil should not have varied in quality by much. I mean, maybe a little bit, because, you know, 15 years is a long time. Maybe a pigment has been used up and they had to go to a different pigment source, but you should be getting that same pencil year after year, that same quality. Even if they rebrand and change the packaging, the pencil should be the same. It should be consistent. And there are too many inconsistencies over the past year in the budget art supply realm to overlook. So just be careful. I don't want you to waste your money. And then the cost of buying like 3 budget pencil sets, you could buy a high quality pencil set and be happier with it and have stuff that's not going to fade. But I do like finding those treasures for people, and I do like to recommend products that are in everyone's budget, because I don't think that art should be exclusive. I don't think anyone should be excluded from creating and expressing themselves. So I love finding those budget products that will give people joy, that will be that diamond in the rough. But if it's going to change, if I'm going to recommend something that's going to change, I really feel bad for that person that only has $25 to spend and they waste it on something that's different than what I received. I don't think these companies are sending better products to people that review products. A lot of times, you know, I'm buying stuff off Amazon as a nobody. They don't know. But it does seem like quality tends to go downhill after a while, and especially this year, and it's very upsetting and very frustrating. So I just wanted to put that out there. I hope you find it helpful, or at least a balanced opinion of what's been going on this week in the colored pencil world. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know your experiences with budget products or high-end products. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Thanks for watching, and please give me a thumbs up before you go. Till next time, happy crafting. Bye.